Hi, I've got a really quick tutorial for you today. I want to discuss the double piping or double jet pocket, which you so often find on the jackets or coats, menswear and ladieswear. It's really an extension of my latest blog post over at Meldove and Sewing, where I've decided to make myself a three-piece suit. Now, this is the actual fabric that I'm using for my suit, nice grey with a pinstripe. I've marked an imaginary pocket on here, a double piping or double jet pocket. It's not really difficult. My problem that I encountered was that I wanted to continue this pinstripe through the top and bottom piping pieces or the jet pieces. Of course, a really simple way of doing it would have been to cut, a contrasting fabric and use those, but I really wanted to use the same fabric and continue this pinstripe through, so it was almost invisible. So what's really key is to take a piece of your fabric that you're going to make your pieces of piping out of, okay, and line up your pinstripe or your pattern, whatever it may be, okay, so it's all nicely lined up. And then we're going to draw the centre line of our pocket onto our piping piece. It's really important, make sure that your chalk or whatever you're using to mark your fabric is nice and sharp, okay, because we want a nice clean line. So I've marked across, there we go, and I'll just move this out of the way. I'm going to cut two pieces of piping. I'm going to use this as the centre line, and I'm just going to do a 1-inch piping piece. Take a ruler, following that centre line, okay, and mark it up, top and bottom. Really quick, really simple. What's key is you've got the angle the same as your pocket. Okay, so there we are, and I'll cut those out. Okay, so I've cut my top and bottom pieces out for the piping, and if I just bring the jacket front back in, okay, you'll see that they line up nicely, not only the pinstripes, but it's at the same angle. Sewing it isn't quite as straightforward as sewing down your seam line here. We've got right sides up on both pieces, so if we start with the top one, let's flip it over so we've got wrong sides facing up, and we're just going to really carefully mark the seam line. Now I've opted for a 1/4 inch, so I'm going to very carefully mark that using a sharp piece of chalk, okay, onto the wrong side of my top piece of piping, okay. And what's really crucial now is we line up certain points. So we've come in a bit closer so we can see how this is going to work. I want this seam line and the seam line on the front of our jacket to line up. That's easy enough, okay. The raw edge should be along the centre line, but what's really crucial is where the points of your seam line and the pinstripe cross, and they need to meet or be on top at the same points on your garment front. So in other words, where this pinstripe meets this seam line needs to be the same point as this pinstripe meets the seam line. Okay, it takes a little bit of careful manoeuvring. You can pop a ruler on, that's one way I do it. Okay, along there, and we can see that that isn't quite, needs to go that way. So we'll just move it very slightly, okay, a little bit more. Now what's tricky about this is making sure the fabric doesn't move too much and checking that they line up along all of these points along your pocket. And if you've cut everything carefully and you've marked everything carefully, they should. So I've gone ahead and I've stitched the top piece of piping okay, in place where we want on the pocket. I'm not going to bother doing the bottom piece as it's exactly the same process. But the important bit is if you've been accurate, you've measured carefully and you've made sure that everything lines up, although it looks odd at the moment because it's all going in different directions, the magic happens when we flip everything over. Okay, and it's probably easier if we zoom in. Okay, so here's our piece of piping, which of course will get turned through your pocket opening and then stitched down into place. So you can see how this matches beautifully top and bottom of your pocket. And there we have it, how to do a double piped pocket so we get those bits of piping to match your pattern. I hope that helps you, and please do visit my blog for the continuation of my three-piece suit journey. Thanks.